Alright, welcome to Planetbase. We're going to be doing the very first challenge today for the Planetbase Corp challenges. This one, Mining Station Alpha, easiest of all. We're going to be doing it with the minimum build, fastest build possible. The build is the fastest build possible. It takes a certain amount of time, though, for the robots to actually mine 100 units of ore, so that part tends to drag. We're not going to go into that part. We'll get the build done, let the robots start working, then we'll stop this. You start out with 3 engineers, you got 2 biologists. You don't start out with them, that's all you get. You got 5 mining robots, you got a construction robot, and 3 carry bots. More than enough to finish this off. I'm sorry, you've got 4 carry bots. That's awesome. Okay, we're going to set up our airlock up here near this mountain. And the smallest of the oxygen generators, we've only got 5 people. We don't need a whole lot of oxygen. Let's kill the ship so we've got our stuff. We're going to build the largest possible solar panel. We're going to build it close to the supplies that we have on the ground to minimize the travel time. I'm going to build the largest power collector. This will give us enough power to get us through the game. Get us through the challenge, sorry. We are not going to build a water collector yet. The reason being is because we want the the power collector to start collecting power before we run out of sunlight, which means we need to get these built immediately. We don't need them distracted by a water collector. There we go. Okay, now we'll build our water extractor. Again, small as possible. We don't need more. Once we get the water collector done, that'll give us oxygen. Oxygen is the first thing that the colonists are going to run out of and get really upset over not having. So we've got that in place. The next thing that they're going to get upset about is not having food. So while the oxygen levels are moving their way up, we're going to get them building a canteen. And again, the smallest possible canteen. We've only got 5 people. Now you might be tempted at this point to start building more buildings than just the one at a time. The danger in that is that their needs follow a specific pattern, which is they need oxygen first, then they're going to get hungry, and if they don't have a canteen to sit down in, a table and a canteen to sit down in, they'll sit on the ground and eat meals, and it takes a little bit longer, and it hurts their morale. And we would rather avoid that. I'm going to give them a big table. I've got enough resources to give them a big table so that everybody can sit down and eat and be happy. And we're going to wait until those are done before we build the dome, or the dorm, bleh, before we build the cabin for them to sleep in, which is going to be the next thing that they're going to be wanting is sleep. There's our cabin. Now you may be wondering why I built this off at that angle. I want this area here clear because I'm going to build 2 storage units in that area. Storage units are where we're going to have to keep our ore. Ore isn't counted when it's mined, it's counted when it's actually stored. So we want them to be able to get the ore in place as quickly as possible once it's mined, which means we want them to travel as short a distance as possible to the storage place. Storage unit, dome, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to connect both the storage units to this oxygen thing, so they're only going to have to go through the airlock, oxygen, and then right into storage. You can't connect the storage units directly to the airlock. Oh, I only built 2 beds. We've got 5 people. 2 almost sleep at a time. They sleep for 8 hours, 24 hours in a day. 2 beds is sufficient. Right now I'm building my biodome. We do need to be somewhat self-sufficient here because this 20 meals that we start with won't last through the entire challenge. They'll have to build about 10 or 15 meals themselves. So let's put 2 meal makers in place. Now here we're going to build a tomato pad, which is a fast grower, and a lettuce pad, which is a pretty fast grower. That way in the meal makers they'll be able to make salads and basic meals. I realize that you're not going to be in this challenge long enough for malnutrition to become an issue. However, it's a good habit to get into. Tomato and wheat, tomato and lettuce. Tomato and wheat make pasta, tomato and lettuce make salads. It gives them some variety. We're only going to build 2. With your 2 biologists, you can actually support up to 6 fairly well. The reason we're only going to build 2... Oh, I'm getting distracted talking here. The reason we're only going to build 2 is because our storage is limited. If we have 3 or 4 pads here growing food, we'll end up with a whole lot of vegetable matter sitting in storage and taking the place that could be taken by ore, which is the whole point of this, is the ore. It's not food. The storage that we're building are 2 of the middle-sized, which are called large storage. Large. The reason we're building 2 of these is because 2 of these is just enough. You'll end up at 100% and about between 80 and 90% on this one by the time we're done, and we've got our 100 units of ore. Now we do have 5 mining bots, and only 3 mining bots can work at a time in a mine, so we want 2 mines. We want 2 large, but 2 mid-size storage units. We've got our bed, we've got our meal makers, we've got our food growing over here. Once they finish this and finish that, we'll wait. And that's it. Our build is done. At this point, we've got robots that are going to be mining. Our ore is accumulating. People can take care of themselves. The engineers will run around and, fix robots whenever they break down. We don't have any bioplastic left, so we're not building anything here. We do have 3 of these, 3 metal. If you want just to do something, you can build a water tank. But the water tank seems to be sufficient and doesn't seem to drop below 5 for the most part. That's sufficient to handle everything. But you're done. There's really nothing else to do except just sit back and watch the robots run around and work. Hope you have a good day.